Hey everyone, it's currently the 2nd of April 2020. Meteorologist Robert Spetty here with you in the South Pacific. We got cyclone season still ongoing here, and it does look like a new tropical low is developing right along the Solomon Islands. Now, at least at this time, this is embedded in the tropical trough. But what I can tell you is there is plenty of moisture in here. You have all that inflow coming in from the north out of the equatorial regions. Sea surface temperatures in this area in Fahrenheit is upwards about 80 degrees of Fahrenheit. So, I mean, it's just absolutely warm out here. You do have high pressure down towards the southwest. So, what this is actually going to be doing for those of you out here in Australia is kind of making a buffer and really keeping this from moving towards the south into Australia. So, more so, I would worry about the Caroline Islands and New Caledonia and maybe even Samoa eventually, as overall this could develop and move here towards the east. But let's take a look at the weather map from the Bureau of Meteorology, because it does have that area of low pressure out here, 1,005 hectopascals, and embedded within that tropical trough as it drifts off there towards the east with that high pressure ridge. You can see it right in here, just like I drew on that map a second ago. So anybody really along this area over towards New Caledonia needs to watch this, because remember, low pressure areas in the tropics really are basically water flowing down hills, and it wants to flow down into these valleys here. Would not want to flow over towards that high pressure area. So something to keep in mind, really interesting to watch. The Bureau of Meteorology does have it as a tropical low at this time. On top of that, I do expect development, not only because of those warm sea surface temperatures, but this is pretty interesting. These lungs within this system aloft, basically this is indicating outflow in the upper levels. So you have that inflow in the lower levels. That's going to act as a chimney and push that outflow and allow this storm system to breathe and really gather up that moisture, and then allow it to push towards the south and the east within that tropical trough. And this is the ECMWF model. I think it's handling the development of this pretty well, actually, moving just along the Solomon Islands here, eventually off towards the east, towards the Caroline Islands, and you can see that moisture flow pushing in and eventually skirting the northern areas of New Caledonia. Noumea, obviously, the more populated city within this chain of islands here on the southeastern tip of Noumea. You'd be seeing those winds wrapping around. You really would have to have the storm system drift further towards the south, though, as the right front quadrant, basically just towards the east of that storm, would be the worst of the weather thanks to that forward progression. But there really is still some time to watch this, and just depending on where exactly it would develop and go will all depend on how the impacts would be on these particular islands. Taking a step back away from weather models, though, one thing I like to use is the overall background fluid streamline analysis. Now, what this is showing me right in here, yeah, of course, you have the high pressure ridge, but take a look at just kind of this troughing out ahead of it. You have that center right in here, and that troughing would indicate this going right where the ECMWF is indicating that track should go, skirting northern areas of Noumea. Now, if this high pressure ridge was to weaken a little bit, that of course would allow it to drift further towards the south. If it strengthened, the Caroline Islands definitely would take more of an impact. Beyond that, though, like I said, Samoa should watch this in the long term. If this all stayed the same, it would go north of New Zealand like the last cyclone that developed out here did. But if we did have a trough come through, that would break down that high-pressure ridge. The North Island definitely would need to keep an eye on it. But for now, I mean, hey, this is something I'm keeping an eye on because I like to do these updates in the tropics. So, of course, I will put another post out when this becomes a named storm system. Right now, it's just tropical low, bringing a lot of rainfall out here across these equatorial regions. Not anything uncommon, but still something to watch. In the northern hemisphere, of course, when something does develop, I'll also keep you guys posted on that. As always, though, stay safe out there.